Hello, hello, hello. Hi, people. Hello, beautiful people. It is your girl, Dana Patrice, aka the Black Fairy. And I am coming at you today with this topic where we're going to really go over Christian nationalism. First, welcome to my channel, Black Fairy Tings, where we deconstruct patriarchy, which involves deconstructing religion. And I really just want to empower women to become the best versions of themselves. I want us all to have all the facts. I want us to understand the history of why we're oppressed, where it comes from. And Christianity is a big portion of that. No, not everywhere is Christian based, but Christians are about 2.5 billion people? They are a big amount of people in the world. A lot of people use this doctrine to navigate their lives, navigate how they treat people. And honestly, we've been given a great misunderstanding of this text. When I came across this clip of this Christian nationalist and his plans and what he wants, it was really like a big, huge red flag for me. For me, it was a big, huge red flag that there are people in this world who really want to create a global Christianity, and that really affects other people. I mean, you can believe what you want, but the minute it starts infiltrating politics, infiltrating communities, and being something that is which to be forced upon others, it becomes very problematic. So I was watching this clip, and it's not a very long clip, but it brought up a lot of things. And it was about this Christian nationalist, his growing congregation, and the kind of views that he's pushing to the outside world. So if you guys are just coming in, please like the live, share the live, comment. Let me know you're here. I see that there's one person in the room. Say hi. Don't let me out here by myself. And we'll get into it. So I'm actually going to play the intro, my little intro, and then we will, where is it? And then we can move forward from there. So let's get into it. Oh my gosh, I hate how this thing doesn't let me know when the when the video is done, and I can't hear it to know that it's done. So I'm sorry for that little spot of silence there. I had to look up and I'm seeing. Anyways, I'm still getting used to Restream, still trying to figure things out. Anyways, so yes, this idea for this video. So it's a short clip from CNN that I'm going to play. Let me pull that up. I want to. Now for commentary now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually can't play the video, and I'm refusing to play the video because unfortunately for me, I got a copyright strike again on the last commentary I did. And I was told that the best way to deal with this is to maybe just let the audio play. So I won't be playing the video. I'll have this image on the screen, and we'll listen together. We'll listen together, and I will, again, because it's commentary, I will be stopping and commenting and just saying my little thoughts on the views of this pastor, the views of the people, and also the that he comes across, what he says, and also the comment section, right? Because I saw some comments that had me thinking and seeing. Thank you to the 3 people who are here. I appreciate your support. I want to make this, I want to make this full screen. Wait, not you full screen. Sorry, one second, not the video, because we can't play the video. I want to make you full screen. So that it's you guys are seeing the picture, but still able to hear me when I'm off mute, and the video itself while I play it, right? So hold on, I think what I have to do, sorry about this, y'all, is press play here and then put it on the big screen. So I'm gonna figure this out, I promise y'all. So let's get into it.
Secretary Pete Hegseth attended the first service. The church is part of the Communion of Reformed Evangelical Churches, and its aim is global Christian domination under a strict interpretation of the Bible. CNN's Pamela Brown.
What? Hold on, y'all.
Went to Moscow, Idaho to meet the controversial pastor behind it.
Christchurch senior pastor Doug Wilson
this thing is so slow.
makes no apologies for his beliefs on God and country.
I'd like to see the town be a Christian town. I'd like to see the state be a Christian state. I'd like to see the nation be a Christian nation. I'd like to see the world.
Secretary Pete Hegseth attended the first service. The church is part
My apologies, y'all. Let me do this one more time. Start from the beginning. I'm going to pull up. Yes, that's what I want. I want the picture up while we play the audio.
part of the Communion of Reformed Evangelical Churches, and its aim is global Christian domination under a strict interpretation of the Bible. CNN's Pamela Brown went to Moscow, Idaho to meet the controversial pastor behind it.
Christchurch senior pastor Doug Wilson makes no apologies for his beliefs on God and country.
I'd like to see the town be a Christian town. I'd like to see the state be a Christian state. I'd like to see the nation be a Christian nation. I'd like to see the world be a Christian world.
And now Wilson's controversial views as a Christian nationalist are gaining sway in the nation's center of power with the recent opening of his new church and high-profile parishioners like Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
That's scary to me, y'all. That is so scary to me. Just as I'm deconstructing and as I'm learning the roots of Christianity and I'm going through the texts and I understand exactly what it is that he actually wants to see, which you'll see is going to go into greater detail. He's going to go over it. He's going to tell us his point of view. But this particular pastor, I know a lot of pastors feel this way. And you're going to see like the calling to other Christians, because Christians believe that their God is, the way, the truth, and the light, and all that stuff. But they don't recognize the actual, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't realize the actual, ramifications of these beliefs. Especially like all we have to do is look back at history to see that wouldn't be good, right? If you look at any Christian nation, right? And I'll use my island, right? I want to say this before, it's coming to me now. I am a Canadian, but I am a descendant of Jamaicans, right? I am a first generation Canadian. My parents immigrated to Canada and came here, and you may be like, Dana, if you're in Canada, why do you care, right? But you heard him. He doesn't just want it to be in his city or his state or even his country. Sorry, y'all. He wants this to be in regards to the world, right? And if you think that Canadians aren't in agreement with him, you're wrong. We have a lot of Canadian Trump supporters, Canada for Trump. Our election that we just had was really close to us even bringing in our own Trump. It may be, some people say that's an exaggeration, right? Pierre Poilievre, our Republican Party, I'll say he's the left wing. Is it right wing? Sorry, I don't even know the wings anymore. But he's our conservative, head. And he lost, thank God, because he was down for the whole 51st state. From what I understand, he didn't say it publicly, but a lot of his constituents said it publicly that they would want to join America. They would want to be the 51st state, and things like that. So it does affect me. It could affect me in the long run, right? How Canada deals with Americans affect us, right? We're right. It's an invisible line separating us as a land. Anyway, they say that to say Jamaica is an island that is like, I think 90% Christian. Like it's heavily Christian based, but if you look at the poverty there, right? if God is such a blessing, then why are so many people suffering? So much so that they are immigrating to different places to have a better life. And I mean, that's all propaganda and things like that, but this is not about that. But I just wanted to show where I was coming from, why it's important to me, and why, although this is happening in America, in the United States of America, how it can and will affect me, right? Especially with the Christians who are here in Canada. Canada is not a religious country per se. Like we know that, but I digress. Let's continue though. I don't want to divert too much.
Planting a church in D.C. part of your mission to try to turn this into a Christian nation?
Yes. So every society is theocratic. The only question is who's theo? In a secular democracy, it would be demos, the people. In a Christian republic, it'd be Christ.
Well, what would you say to someone watching this and say, look, I'm a Muslim. Who are you to say your worldview is better than mine, that your God is better than mine?
Well, if I went to Saudi Arabia, I would fully expect to live under their God's rules.
But you said earlier that you want this to be a Christian world.
Yes.
So you want to supplant their religion with your Christian.
Yes, by peaceful means, by sharing the gospel. There's a lot of work yet to do. I believe that we are working our little corner of the vineyard.
Wilson's little.
So you see, he backs down like, well, if you go to a country where it's like Islam, or if you go to a country here, you'd have to abide by their laws. That's all we're saying. When he literally said himself that he wants this to be the worldwide view. Sarah Usre, he says, this is not true Christianity. I'm sorry this is happening. I'm so heartbroken. And Sarah, I'm going to go through that because it actually is very much Christianity. Right? I understand why he thinks the way that he thinks as I'm deconstructing the Bible, because this is backed by religious text, what he believes, right? Which is why I have such an issue with Christianity. And you're like, oh, why would Christianity? I used to be Christian, right? Like, so now I'm deconstructing. I'm more of like an agnostic theist at this point, but I am wavering on the lines of just being full-blown atheist. But I'm still learning and deconstructing. I'm not quite there yet. But I am actually going to go through why this is a representation of Christianity. Or even like maybe not to you, but how it could be viewed. And I'm going to share scripture to show you, right? And you may say they're manipulating the text, but I don't think it's a manipulation. The God of this Bible, in my mind, Sarah, and I'm not attacking you, but I do want to share this with you, is that this God is a warmonger, right? This God gave the okay for slavery. This God of the Christian Bible had women raped, right, as a punishment to someone else. This Christian God said it was okay to take captive girls and give them to the Israelite men if they so choose, and grape them and marry them, right? Like I could go on and on about the God of this Bible and the things that he has done that embolden people like this man, right? And this is all according to text. So I hope you do stay for the rest of the conversation, because I am going to break it down, right? Because I saw a lot of comments like yours under this video, right? And the cognitive dissonance you have, right, which is understandable. Me growing up Christian, I understand why you think that way, because you've been told something different. You've been preached something different. And if you've been a Christian your whole life, like I was, you probably didn't do your, I don't want to say your due diligence. You probably, because you're not really encouraged, right? I feel like Christianity gives you a path and you're not to divert from it. But when you do divert from it and you read the context of the Bible for what it is, like read what it says for what it is, you can see why people like him feel the way that they do. So I appreciate your sentiments, but I honestly don't agree. I think this is a representation of true Christianity, right? I think that a lot of Christians manipulate the text to make it not be that way, to fulfill that kind of like, I'm sorry, lie that was given to us, that this God is all love. There's too many examples of him not being loving at all, of having supremacist views, right? Like this God believes that the Israelites are above all others, and he's concerned about the Israelites more so than anybody else, right? Even your Jesus said, I came for the lost sheep of Israel. He was not there for the Gentiles, which would be you and I. He was there for the lost sheep. But I'm getting off track again. I could talk about this a lot because it's definitely in my interest at the moment. So let's continue to listen. I also I was speaking and I wasn't mic'd up, but I wanted to show you guys this landscape, this little people that he says he has. Look at this place, right? But anyways, I'll just play it for now.
Little Corner, a picturesque campus nestled on the outskirts of downtown Moscow, Idaho, is growing by the day with thousands of like-minded Christians. Parishioners of his church, known as Kirkers, own and operate several businesses downtown next to liberal college town stores.
If it's true,
Why did he yell boo?
because of me.
Because of you.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
That's a regular day for you.
That's not unusual.
A big focus of his Christian
I wanted you to see the land he's amassed around that church, right? So this is something that could really grow into something. Apparently he's in DC, and it could definitely, that's where he's starting. You know, he wants to start in the state, the capital, I guess, because DC is the capital, right? I'm Canadian, remember that. The capital, and he's setting up shop there. We have district attorneys and other well-to-do people who claim Christianity going and thinking of this mindset. It's scary. But yeah, just for the purpose of preserving this live, I do want to just create the image. We're going to listen.
movement is on a patriarchal society where men are dominant and women are expected to submit to their husbands.
Women are the kind of people that people come out of.
So you
Women are the kind of people that people come out of. I don't know what that means. And I actually watched this clip. Sometimes I don't watch things. I like to live so you guys get my live reaction. But there was a lot of things that I just wanted to actually have ready to talk about in regards to this clip. But women are the kind of people that people come out. What does that mean? I'm not even sure he ever really got too deep into it, but let's continue.
You just think they're meant to have babies. That's it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. The wife and mother, who is the chief executive of the home, is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls.
I'm here as a working journalist, and I'm a mom of 3.
Good for you.
Is that an issue
No.
for you?
No, it's not automatically an issue.
Josh and Amy Prince, along with their 4 kids, moved here.
He says a lot of things. Oh, it's not automatically an issue. Well, when would it become an issue for you, sir? Like, you could, and she's going to get into it, so I don't want to get too far ahead of the everything myself. But you could already see the underlying. I think he's trying to be politically correct because he knows that right now is not the time to spew his misogyny, spew his racism, which I'm sure is there, spew his religious dogma, because he wants people to feel like, no, we're not doing that. Like the colonizers and the missionaries that went to my island of Jamaica, right? Like, oh, we're not here to do that. We're here to show you the love of God. And then they manipulated the whole thing. And now people are more concerned with what's happening after death instead of really taking a look around at what's happening in the present, right? What I find a lot of Christians do is that they're like, that's not for us to fix. God is going to take care of it. That's not for me to judge. God is the only judge. And this is in regards to rapists and racism and things like that, right? Like, well, if he's guilty, he's going to burn. Like, you guys care so much about what's going to happen to them out there that you allow things to happen right here in front of your face and do nothing about it. It is my opinion that Christians are some of the biggest cowards that I've ever come across when it comes to dealing with injustice, right? It's always on someone else to deal with, right? If it's not the God, it's the devil. If it's not the devil, it's the God. It's never the responsibility of each of us who are in this world and have to live in it together, which is very disappointing.
Here from Washington State.
Do you see Amy as your equal?
Yes and no, in the sense that we're both saved by grace. We're absolutely on equal footing, but we have very different purposes, God-given.
But do you see your
This guy, he makes me want to throw up in my mouth. Let's take a look at him. Hold on. Oh, it's not on him. Hold on. Let me just. Yeah, this guy right here. Okay, this is the guy that's talking right now, not this pastor that I have as the clip there, but this guy. He's just, I guess he's one of the attendees of this Christian church and this Christian nationalist church. And you heard what he said, right? Like, we are equal that we're saved by grace, but not in our roles, right? Like, the misogyny just can't help itself.
But we have very different purposes, God-given.
But do you see yourself as the head of the household, as the man?
He is the head of our household. Yes, and I do submit to him.
So, like, moving here
I was just gonna say that.
ultimately your decision.
Yes.
That's a great
great
example.
example.
Wilson says in his vision of a Christian society, women as individuals shouldn't be able to vote. His fellow pastors, Jared Longshore and Toby Sumter, agree.
In my ideal society, we would vote as households.
Do you hear that, y'all? Voting as a household. Even the man said, oh yeah, like I submit to him. We moved here because of him. I follow my husband. And there's nothing wrong with I think submitting to each other, but this whole man knows best, do whatever your husband says. You're not smart enough to make a decision on your own. You got to submit to your husband. You're lesser than, so you've got to submit. You're a daughter of Eve, so you've got to submit to your husband. It's disgusting rhetoric that just makes me want to throw up in my mouth. And then you have these pastors coming up and they're going to talk about it some more, about how they believe that votes should be household. meaning that, and he's going to say, let's just let him say it. Let's just let him say it. Actually, again, I know that I can't show too much of the video in its completion. I think a little pieces here and there are okay. But look at this motherfucker. Look at him. There's two of them. Sorry, there's two of them there. I'm actually going to let it ride for this little piece. I want you guys to see them.
I would ordinarily be the one that would cast the vote, but I would cast the vote having discussed it with my household.
But what if your wife doesn't want to vote for the same person as you?
Right. Well, then that's a great opportunity for a good discussion.
There are some who have gone so far as to say that they want the
would be a good discussion. And this is like one of the two pastors that work with this man. He's saying that it's a good discussion, but what he's not saying is that no matter what she feels like, and no matter what the outcome, and no matter what the outcome will be, ultimately his decision, despite whether his wife likes it or not. We all know that's like how Christian men like this think, right? There is religious doctrine backing it, which is why I say, again, it's dangerous. As much as Miss Thang, Sarah, said that she doesn't believe that this is not true Christianity. The apostles in the New Testament are the ones who brought in this mentality, right? The apostles that followed your Jesus brought in this mentality. So let's continue.
Great opportunity for a good discussion.
There are some who have gone so far as to say that they want the 19th Amendment repealed.
I would support that. And I'd support it on the basis that the atomization that comes with our current system is not good for humans.
And Wilson, a veteran himself, is unapologetic about his view that women shouldn't be in certain leadership or combat roles.
Looking at the leadership page for Christ Church, it's all men. Do you accept women in leadership roles in the church?
It's all men, but I want you to see who it is, actually. Like I said, I think this way I'll be safe with my commentary because I'm not showing the full video. I'm stopping and commenting. And although I'm showing you clips of the footage, it's sparingly and in between. But let's go look at these men. One of these things, they have something in common for
church. It's all men. Do you accept women in leadership roles in the church and government?
In the church, no.
It's all white men, is what I wanted to show you. It's all white men. And as much as they're going to get into it too, because apparently he said some racist things in the past. I don't know this man from nothing. This is my first seeing him. I saw this clip play on Instagram, and I looked for it to see its full context. This is the clip was the full context. I don't know if there's a more longer version. I could not find it, but this was enough to get my point across. But I just wanted you to see that it's all white men. Okay, all religious white men that are pushing for this. And I think it has a lot to do with the male loneliness epidemic, right? Because if you're under a Christian nation, that means women have to be with a man, right? And be under the submission under God. That was the curse placed on Eve and placed on all women, according to this God, was to serve and have to submit to Adam, right? They have the Bible verses where it's like women have to submit to their husbands, like the men have to submit to God. And a lot of people are like, well, what's wrong with that? God's great. God's love. No, he's not. Not if you read it for what it is, right? Not if you read it for what it is and what it actually says about this God. We're going to continue, though. Let me just pull up. I don't know if I want to take it further. He's going to go into the whole misogynistic tropes. But yeah, 1 second.
because the Bible says not to.
Well, that's not what happens in the Bible. Women do lead all the time.
Progressive faith leader Reverend Jennifer Butler is concerned about Wilson's growing influence.
He is rapidly gaining in power. He has hundreds of churches established around the country. They actually literally want to take over towns and cities, and they have access to this administration.
Wilson is part of a broader Christian nationalist.
You see what's happening? Do you see what they're trying to do? And if you think that this is, they have a plan. And if they already have a plan, remember, he's already in several states. I'm sure that there's people who will see this, because we get American news here in Canada, right? And like I said, we have plenty of Trump supporters who think just like this man. If you think that he probably doesn't have churches in this aspect and in this realm, I would say that you're wrong. I actually did want to talk about, you can come through. You can go to the kitchen if you want, guys. 1 second, okay? You need to tell me something? Okay, just give me 1 minute. So I actually did want to go through it because from my perspective and my upbringing in the church, that has always been the case, that women do not have a role. Women should not speak. They should be silent and all these things. So when the reverend came, even though it's fairly new for women to take up these positions like reverend, priests, pastor, whatever, we do see that women have been slowly being let in. It's not really accepted in a lot of places. But I was like, well, is that true? Because the Christianity that I know has always told me something different. So I went and did a little bit of research. Just, you guys, give me one moment. One moment. I apologize for that. I'm just pulling up my notes. So the whole women can't lead view, right? This view leans heavily on the New Testament passages, which are attributed to Paul. When I tell you, like Paul is like, I don't like this nigga. I don't like this man at all. Paul came later. He was not an original disciple. He never met Jesus. He contradicts a lot about what Jesus said. Kind of does what he wants, and him being a Pharisee, I think I've talked about this. He's just, not the best. But so it's attributed to Paul, which really restricts women's roles in teaching authority over men, like in 1 Timothy chapter 2, 11 through 12, right? He says, let women learn quietly with all submissiveness. I do not permit a woman to teach or exercise authority over a man. Rather, she is to remain quiet. This is one of the most quoted verses for restricting women in leadership in the church. Another one would be 1 Corinthians 14, verses 34 through 35, where it says, women should keep silent in the churches, for they are not permitted to speak, but should be in submission, as the law also says. If there is anything they desire to learn, let them ask their husbands at home. Here, Paul references the law as backing for this silence, though it's debatable since the Old Testament actually has examples of women speaking and leading, and I'm going to get into that as well, right? I like to be balanced. I don't want to be unfair. And then the third one that I had here is Ephesians 5, verses 22 through 24. This is marriage roles. It's often applied to church roles by complementarians, but it says, wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord, right? I quoted this one already, but for the husband is the head of the wife, right? Some argue that the headship principle means men should lead in both home and church. And as you can see, this is the Christian doctrine that they use to implement these rules, to silence women and their voices, what they want, what they feel is right, right? They use this, and then to women who grow up into this, they teach them this from a very young age. So they're indoctrinated with this thinking, which is why I say that Christian women are, in fact, incredibly dangerous to women empowerment movements, because of their mindset and their indoctrination makes them believe that they are less, makes them to believe that they are not worthy, and makes them believe that they are lesser than a human in regards to men. Now, I did again said I wanted to show balance, because there are women that led in the Bible. And these viewpoints to multiple Old, and I think even some New Testament examples from my notes here, of women that held leadership roles, and sometimes even over men, right? We have Deborah, who was a judge of Israel, right? You can find this story in Judges 4, verse 4 and 5, where it says, now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of, I can't say this name, Lapidoth, was judging Israel at the time. She used to sit under the palm of Deborah, and the people of Israel came up to her for judgment. Deborah was a prophet and the highest authority in Israel's government at that time, right? We have Huldah, who was another prophetess. You can find this story in 2 Kings 22, verse 14 and 20. It says, when the book of the law was found, King Josiah sent officials, including the high priest, to Huldah for interpretation. She gave authoritative counsel that the king acted upon, right? We have Miriam, who was a prophet and leader in Micah 6, verse 4, right? I sent before you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. So God listed Miriam alongside Moses and Aaron as leaders of Israel. I have a few more, but I don't want to get too far away from the conversation that we're having. So you can see here that this is actually, you can see here that this is absolutely true, what men are saying, but then there's that hypocritical aspect that we find in the Bible, very contradictory information that we find in the Bible that kind of shifts, well, if that's true, then why would there be a female judge that ruled over the nations? This actually excites me for this new series that I have, was Who Was She Really? And I'm going over women in the Bible and who they really were and what their stories were. So I'm really looking forward to diving into some of these women and who they were and what it really meant and what it really looked like. And if it's a contradiction, or am I just cherry picking verses to suit what I maybe want to believe or not want to believe, right? That's the purpose. And for those of you who don't know, right now, I canceled Patreon. I've brought it all over to YouTube memberships. I'm still kind of, I still have like certain ideas for it. I'm still kind of like making little tweaks. There are visible videos available as I am doing Bible deconstruction. I am reading the Bible from Genesis to Revelations, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, dissecting and really thinking and critical thinking through it all. And you can join me on that journey by joining the YouTube membership. There's 3 tiers, 2 of which will give you access to the videos and my voice note reflections and much more. So take a look into that if you're interested. But let's get back into this. I just wanted to come back around because when she said that, I was like, I never heard that. I feel like I thought it was more Christian women just, pushing themselves into a place, trying to bring that liberal woman-mindedness into and weave it into Christianity to make themselves feel comfortable with their Christian beliefs and their Christian God, who more often than not, to me, doesn't show that they like them, right? But let's continue. It's almost done.
This movement making inroads with the Trump administration, with a created faith office by evangelical pastor Paul White Cain, and people seen right outside the White House entrance praying and speaking in tongues.
We are standing on the soil of the White House, and we are declaring your word.
How precious.
And now there's a monthly prayer service at the Pentagon, initiated by Hegseth, Wilson's highest level connection to the administration.
It's not organizationally tied to us, but it's the kind of thing we love to see.
For his part,
and of course they love to see it, right? It's everything that they want. And I really feel like right now is the time to deconstruct and get to know exactly what it is that they are looking into bringing into this world and how they want to see the world. And what, because at first it starts with just, oh, we want our wives to submit. But how farther till they get to like, well, it does say we can't have slaves in this Bible. We should bring that back too. Right? We can go to the other nations around us and pick up slaves. I mean, it's right there in Leviticus 25, where God condones slavery and tells us how to do it, where to get our slaves, and how we can treat them at that. Right? I mean, one of the ways that you can treat a slave is that you can beat him till he's beat down into the dust. But as long as he doesn't unalive in a couple of days, you're good. No payment, no punishment at all. Right? These are the same rules that they used to push these transatlantic slavery. It's disgusting. Right? Star Melody Elizabeth B said, I'm so angry. Yeah, angry. Yes, I know. And you have a right to be angry, so angry. I get it. And I feel like there's a righteous anger that's happening in all of us. And we will better be able to stand together if we know our enemy, right? If we know what they're thinking, if we see what they're going, and we really like tap in to what is it exactly they're saying they want to do to not just the country, your country, but the world. But yeah, we're gonna continue.
Hegseth has publicly praised Wilson.
Now we're standing on the shoulders of a generation later, the Doug Wilsons and the others.
Wilson's influence spans the globe with more than 150 churches. Lennox Califungwa moved to Moscow from Africa.
It's really because I wanted to be a part of a community that was doing something, and especially in building
With more than 150 churches, Lennox Califungwa moved to Moscow from Africa.
It's really because I wanted to be a part of a community that was doing something, and especially.
Did you guys not hear anything I said? Oh, that pisses me off. Because I was saying that it pissed me off to see, Black people just cuddling up with their colonizers and being like, "This is great," as if it won't pretty much turn back and against them, as if it isn't the beginning of us going back into maybe slavery, right? Because this Bible gives permission, tells you how to do slavery and all these things. And I just wanted you to show this Black man who said that he came from Africa to Moscow to be a part of this, right? This is what Christianity is doing worldwide.
from Africa.
It's really because I wanted to be a part of a community that was doing something, and especially in building Christian institutions.
Are there other black families in this community?
Oh, absolutely. There's a few black families.
Wilson maintains all are welcome to his church, but he's also not shying away from his past controversial statements on race.
Oh, Star Melody, I totally agree with you. This is why I don't trust the black community for that reason. Absolutely. They're way too indoctrinated. I've seen too many of them really just go off the deep end. They defend slavery. They defend grape on behalf of this God and this religion. Because when you corner them with the facts about this God and its beliefs and how this God has, it was used, like the words of this Bible were used to push the transatlantic slavery. It was. I mean, one of the boats was called Jesus. So like, it's in the doctrine to prove. But they say first they say no, that's not there. Then you show them that it's there, and then it's like, well, that's not what it means. And then when you go back and forth about what it means, and you show them exactly what it says, and you back them into a corner where they know that they can't say that this isn't there and that this is not what God is saying, they then show their true colors. Christians, black Christians, women Christians are wolves in sheep clothing. They are wearing a mask, hiding under a false belief that God and Jesus Christ were all loving, which if you read this thing, if you read this book, that's not what it displays. It doesn't display an omnipresent God. It doesn't present an all-knowing, all that stuff. It doesn't present any of those things, right? It doesn't present a God who never makes mistakes. He admits to making mistakes himself, right? If you look at the story of Noah, he admitted that he made a mistake. He said he regretted flooding the earth that way. So, but if you talk to them, no, that's not what it means. It's literally what it says, right? And all of a sudden, because I'm not Christian anymore, I've somehow, my literacy gets turned off, and I'm illiterate. I don't have a literate spiritual mind, is what they'll tell me, right? So I totally get you in saying that, Star Melody. It's also why I don't really trust it. At this point, I don't trust Christians, period. I don't care how you present yourself, because at the end of the day, when I have conversations with you and I get into the true points and the true purpose, you guys show your mask. Your mask falls every fucking time. Every time. And you're spewing this most hateful rhetoric. I'm glad I'm a black woman who'd rather go on another pathway from Christianity. Me too. And I'm glad that a lot of us are waking up to it. Like, I'm glad you're here, Star Melody, as a black woman, supporting me as another black woman who is speaking out about these things and shedding light on it, because we do need each other. And there's more of us than you think. But because the black community is so heavily indoctrinated in Christianity, it's honestly a little bit not safe for us to do so. So I totally get that. And I'm proud of you too. Okay, I'm proud of you. Let's continue. He's going to get into the whole race thing, and I'm sure it will just piss us off even more, but let's get into it, because we have to know what they're thinking.
Do you still believe what you said back in the 90s, that there's a mutual affection between master and slave?
Yes, it depends on which master, which.
Hear that, y'all? This man says he's not a racist, but he says that there's some sort of sweet relationship to this whole thing, right? Let's I'm gonna pull that back, because I really want you to hear what he said here.
There's a mutual affection between master and slave.
Yes, it depends on which master.
A mutual affection between master and slave. A mutual affection. And then he stops and says, yeah, but it depends on the master. Depends on the master. I'm sorry, I'm going to pull that back one more time. Let's listen to it together, yeah? Oops. Too far. Too far. Okay.
There's a mutual affection between master and slave.
Yes, it depends on which master and which slave you're talking about. Slavery was overseen and conducted by fallen human beings, and there were horrendous abuses, and there were also people who owned slaves who were decent human beings and did.
Do you see what I'm saying here? And the fact that he's using the same lies. Oh, that's not in the Bible. It was misused. That's a lie. That's a bald-faced lie. In Exodus and in Deuteronomy and Leviticus, God is very clear that one, you can have slaves, right? Like, hold on, because I actually do have. Can I? You know what? I'm gonna have to. You know what? Hold on. Let me let him finish. Let me let him finish, and then we'll get into that, because that's full of. See, I should have. Sorry, I'm thinking. My mind's going faster than my mouth right now. Let me just calm down, because this is annoying to me. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Sorry, that flustered me because it pisses me off, and I usually have that ready. I'm looking at my notes, trying to find the verses, but I'm going to let him finish his piece, and I'm going to try and see if I can look into it. I definitely have some things I want to go through, but yeah, I'll let him finish while I look.
Didn't mistreat them. I think that system of chattel slavery was an unbiblical system, and I'm grateful it's gone.
What he also wants gone? Same-sex marriage, because he thinks homosexuality is a crime.
In the late 70s and early 80s, sodomy was a felony in all 50 states. That America of that day was not a totalitarian hellhole.
So you would like America to go back to that?
Yep.
Wilson maintains his ultimate goal is to bring about the second coming of Christ through his work.
Wants to bring about the second of, oh my gosh, this is okay. I gotta go to this too, because you see how he's talking about he wants the second coming of Christ. The second coming of Christ is told to us to be this beautiful thing that's supposed to happen. It's not. And I do want to do a video on that. Like, what does the second coming actually look like? Because according to to this Bible, right, it's not all land of milk and honey, not for the Gentiles, which would be anybody who's not an Israelite. The Gentiles, according to this book, according to the doctrine, according to what it says in Isaiah, the Gentiles, which would be you, me, and anybody who's not an Israelite, whether you're white, black, brown, whatever, if you are not a Jew, if you are not an Israelite, you will be serving and building those mansions for the Israelites. You will be a servant unto them, even in heaven. I don't understand why we think that's such a grand idea. Why would you even want that to come? I definitely don't want to be there. You know, but for me, Star Melody is the misrepresentation. The story that they're going with is a complete lie. That's not what the Bible says it's going to be. Not for us as Gentiles, but for Israelites. It will be a land of milk and honey for Israelites. I mean, the Gentile people will be on them. They'll be there's so much there. When you read it, you're just like, why the fuck would I want to go there? Right? So I'm glad you decided to go with witchcraft too. I don't see a problem with witchcraft. It's belief in self. It's belief in your own power, and you're using your strength and your belief to manifest what you want. Yes, you may use the elements, but that ain't hurting nobody. You know what I mean? It's not pushing on anybody anything, right? And that's my problem with Christianity. Believe what you want, but the fact that you guys are trying to make this a global world, right, or even a nation that is under this, he's trying to bring in Gilead, right? Like, and all the women are all these Serenas. I call them Serenas. But right, there is no second coming. There is no second coming. Like, I'm not saying that this is real, but even when you look at the actual story, it's like, why would you want this? You know what I mean? And that's what I don't actually think that it's real.
And rejects critics' claims he's trying to make the dystopian world of The Handmaid's Tale a reality.
I'm not a white nationalist. I'm not a fascist. I'm not a racist. I'm not a misogynist.
How far off do you?
He is literally all these things. Like the delusion. You are a white nationalist. You are a racist. You are these things. And they believe that they aren't, right? And fine, but like, come on, like, do you know the definitions of the words that you're using? Have you been paying attention to the things that you've said in this interview, sir? Christians are a frustrating group. Honestly, I feel this way about all Abrahamic religions. I don't know too much about outside of it. Even Buddhism has some caste system in it. So I talk about what I know, and I know Christianity. I grew up in Christianity. Exactly, Star Melody. Boo. Okay. But he's full of shit.
You see a Christian nation, a full-on Christian theocracy.
Oh, 250 years.
250 years.
Yeah, honestly, that's yes.
What you see. But you do think it will happen?
Yes, I do. We're not going to usher in anything ourselves. We're really genuinely pioneers.
All right, thank you, Pamela Brown, for that report. CNN has reached out to the Defense Department to inquire about Hegseth's relationship.
So that was the end of the video. Let me stop sharing screen. But one thing I do want to bring up, because I didn't, hold on. I can get rid of you too. Hold on, let me get rid of you, because I don't need you either. But what he said about slavery and how it was not in the Bible, I do want to just skirt around. I would have had it prepared earlier. I didn't hear that part. I was doing a lot of things while I was listening to the interview. I mostly took note of women being in power or not within the church, if it was biblical or just Christian theology, like what it was. And like, because me, again, like I said, I had always been under the impression that women weren't allowed to. So when I double checked, and there were verses that women did actually lead, and I was like, okay, well, this is just another big contradiction. And I'm actually going to do a video on that by itself. I think I have 2 video ideas right now. One is to go over what heaven will really be like according to the Bible, and 2, the whole women's role thing and the big contradiction in the Bible, and women that did and women that didn't. I definitely want to do those 2 videos. I'll probably do them next week, because I already have videos set up for this week to drop. But anyways, like craziness, right? Like craziness. But I do want to get into this. Let me pull up my Bible. Okay. We're going to go to Leviticus. And we're going to go to, I believe it's Leviticus. Why aren't you going down? Why does this do this? Hold on. This is so weird. Leviticus, and it's, hold on, y'all. I'll pull it up because I don't know why I can't choose past it. Leviticus goes to, oh, it's 25. Sorry, 25. Let me pull it up and share my screen with y'all, because I don't like how they say, oh, you know, that's not according to the Bible and the Christian doctrine. That's a bullshit. The way slave masters treated their slaves is absolutely biblical doctrine. And they weren't, oh, there were also kind masters who didn't treat their slaves at all. Who cares? They had, according to the Bible, they had every right to treat them that way. Let's go to share screen, so I can share my Bible with y'all. We're at Leviticus 25. You there with me? Perfect. So we're at Leviticus 25. And we're going to scoot on down to, and I also, just because I know this is going to happen, I'm going to just preemptively do it. I'm going to start from, like, what is it, verse 30 something? Right? There's laws here. Leviticus is all the laws, well, most of the laws, right? Okay. Oh, I missed it. Yeah, 35. Of poor countrymen, because people will say, oh, that's indentured servitude. It's not slavery. It's not the slavery that we saw with the transatlantic slave system. That's not true. So I want to go both over what indentured servitude is and what slavery is, right? According to the Bible, we're going to read exactly what God said himself to Moses. So if you start at verse 35, Leviticus 25, verse 35. Now, in case a countryman of yours becomes poor, and remember, countryman, so they're saying if another Israelite right? This is rules for Israelites dealing with Israelites, right? So that's what they mean by in the case of your countryman. So in a case of a countryman of yours becomes poor, so if another Israelite becomes poor and his means among you falter, then you are to sustain him. Hold on. Okay, yeah. Like a stranger or a resident, so that he may live with you. Do not take any kind of interest from him, but fear your God, so that your countrymen may live with you. You shall not give him your silver at interest, nor your food for profit. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan and to be your God. Now, if a countryman of yours becomes so poor with regard to you that he sells himself to you, you shall not subject him to a slave service. So right here, you can see that there's a difference between taking a countryman as an indentured servant who needed to sell himself, but he's not supposed to be treated like a slave, right? So don't treat your fellow Israelites as slaves, right? Meaning that there's a distinct difference. He shall be with you as a hired worker, as if he were a foreign resident. He shall serve with you up to the year of Jubilee. He shall then leave you, he and his sons with him, and shall go back to his family, so that he may return to the property of his forefathers. Now, from what I understand, the year of Jubilee is about 7 years, right? And he continues, he said, for they are my servants who I brought out of the land of Egypt. They are not to be sold in a slave sale. You shall not rule over him with severity, but are to revere your God. Okay, so we're getting into it. Hold on, because I just want to make you see that he's saying, Israelites, do not treat each other this way. Yes, we could do indentured servitude. He could work for you, and he could leave, right? From what I totally understand as well, and that's why I want to do a separate video on it so I can get it all together. But my understanding of this as well is that in the case, like if he has family, like before he's a slave, that he doesn't have ownership. However, there is a rule that if the master gives him a wife and they bear children, that he can leave at the year of Jubilee, but the wife and the children belong to the master. So if in that 7 years your master gives you a wife and you happen to have children, you don't get to leave at the year of Jubilee with them. What you can do, according to doctrine, is then become a permanent slave of your master, even as an Israelite, right? They will pierce your ear. I think it's somewhere in here too. But they will pierce their ear, and then they will be slaves for life that they will be able to pass down to future generations, which is chattel slavery, okay? That is what chattel slavery is. You are property and you are able to be passed down generations through generations. But we're going to continue, right? So he says, so at that point, he will leave you, and he and his sons with him, and shall go back to his family, so that he may return to the property of his forefathers. For they are my servants who I brought out of the land of Egypt. They are not to be sold in a slave sale. So God is very like, I don't want you guys to enslave each other. I brought you out of Egypt. No need to enslave each other. We don't do that to each other. But it says, you shall not rule over him with severity, but revere your God. So it says, as chapter 44, which a lot of people don't realize, is where he gives the go-to on what you can do to get slaves and how you should go about it. This is going to sound very familiar to those of you who are knowledgeable on the transatlantic slave system. So it says, as for your male and female slaves, right? So remember, he said, the Bible doesn't really say you can have slaves, right? No, it says it, as for your male and female slaves. So there's a distinction between indentured servitude with your countryman and the slaves that you have. And it says, whom you may have, right? Right here, y'all. As for the male and female slaves, whom you may have, right? You may acquire male and female slaves from the pagan nations that are around you. You may also acquire them from the sons of the foreign residents who reside among you, and from their families who are with you, whom they will have produced in your land. They also may become your possession. Right? So he says, one, you can go to the pagan nations around you. Isn't that what white Christians did? They went to the pagan nation of the pagan continent of Africa and went to their pagan countries and acquired slaves in Africa. Because those aren't white people weren't enslaving each other, right? They did indentured servitude amongst each other, but they weren't actually enslaving them, right? That's not what the Bible says. They said that they can go to the pagan nations around them and acquire them. They could also go to the pagans who lived within their country and buy their children and buy them, right? They can become your possessions. And lastly, but not least, you may also acquire them from the sons of the foreign residents who reside among you and from their families who are with you, whom they will have produced in your land. They also may become your possession. You may also pass them on as inheritance to your sons after you, to receive as a possession. You can use them as permanent slaves. But in respect to your countrymen, the sons of Israel, you shall not rule with severity over one another. Now, if this means of a stranger or of a foreign resident with you becomes sufficient, and a countryman of yours becomes poor in relation to him and sells himself to a stranger who is residing with you or the descendants of a stranger's family, then he shall have redemption right after he has been sold. One of his brothers may redeem him. And it goes on and on and on, right? Like, I don't want to go too much into this because this is not what it's about, but I just didn't realize I would have had it mocked up. But you can see here, the Bible does tell them, and that's exactly what they did. They went to the pagan nations around them. They collected African slaves, brought them to America, and made them slaves for life, right? This was for 400, 500 years. So you're going to tell me that this Christian man who is just speaking on his views isn't a racist, isn't a nationalist, right? Doesn't believe in slavery, but it can be a good thing as long as the master is nice, right? Like, it's bullshit. This Bible, this is God talking that I'm showing you here in Leviticus. It's God talking to Moses. He's giving him the laws and how they should do things and how they should go. He condones slavery, this God. He condones it. He doesn't have a problem with it. He just doesn't want you to enslave your brothers, right? And that's what white people did. YT people did. I don't know if I can say white people. YT people did, right? They went from their land and went to a different nation, picked up the pagans and made them slaves for life, for generations, passed them down. This is chattel slavery. This is what the God of the Bible says you can do. I don't want to make this too long because we're already in an hour. You know what? No. We're going to do this. Let me just look it up. Exodus, let's see, Exodus. Let me go here. We're in Exodus. I just have to look it up real quick. Because I do want to talk about the treatment of slaves, because a lot of people are like, well, they weren't allowed to treat them and beat them like they did. Yes, they were allowed to. They actually were. Nice try, but they actually were. And I just want to make that scene because I know that this is going to be in the comments. So I want to do a separate video on it because it's clear that it needs its own video, but I do just want to make this tidbit of information. Exodus, where in the Bible? So Exodus 21. Let's see, Exodus 21. Exodus. Again, this is God speaking to Moses when he says this and gives these laws, these rules of conduct. Exodus 21. We're going to go to verse 20, right? So let's see it. So here we go. And if someone strikes his male or female slave with a rod, this is God speaking to Moses, and the slaves dies at his hand, he shall be punished. If, however, the slave survives a day or two, no vengeance shall be taken, for the slave is his property. So you are able to beat them with a rod to the point of almost death. That's when he'll be punished. If he dies right away, that's not cool. That's murder. But however, if the slave survives a day or two after that big beating, there's nothing that will happen to them, right? The slave is his property. There's nothing to do about it. In Exodus, if you go further down with me to 26, and it says, and if someone strikes the eye of his male or female slave and destroys it, he shall let the slave go free on account of his eye. And if he knocks out a tooth of his male slave, he shall let the slave go free on account of the tooth. So there is okay, well, if you knock out a tooth, there's situations, but look at the treatment of slaves. I mean, imagine nothing happens to their eye or no tooth gets knocked out, but they're just beaten to a pulp, right? I've seen people beaten to a pulp without losing an eye or a tooth. You could beat someone, right? So this is God talking. This is God saying this is okay. This is the doctrine that they used during slavery. There's also in Deuteronomy and things like that, but again, there's a lot of contradicting statements, but you see how he's like, oh, the Bible doesn't say you can treat, yes, it does. You can treat slaves this way. And if you think that there isn't a subset of a group of people who don't think that this should be the way it is, and that they are above, because this Bible is very much supremacy, right? Even Jesus, who called that Gentile woman who came and begged him to save her daughter, to heal her daughter, Jesus called her a dog and said, I didn't come for you, ho. Said, I came for the lost sheep of Israel, and you're gripping at the bones. And then the woman was like, well, don't you at least give the dog bones and scraps from your table? And Jesus was like, you know what, you're right. I like how you know your place in the world, and that you know that you are a dog, and that you, if anything, at least maybe deserve my scraps. I'll heal your daughter. Go away. Go get it right now. And I know some people are going to be like, that's not what it says. If you read it, that's pretty much what it says. I'm not going to go into it right now because this is not what the video is about, but I just wanted to touch on it because I don't like misinformation. Okay? That being said, y'all, I think I made a really good case for myself. I think I made a really good case about why I continue to have these feelings about Christians, their values, and why I think it's absolutely dangerous, right? And why I feel like a lot of Christians are either too cowardly to be real about who they're serving, or they're just wolves in sheep's clothing. They know exactly what it is, and they're willing to wear the mask of what they believe an all-loving, all-knowing power would be, but underneath, they feel the same way as this man deep down inside. They think so. They've been so heavily indoctrinated to, it's hard to say. You hate Jesus even more? Well, I mean, we got to get into that because I've learned so much. I've learned so much about Jesus that I had no idea about. And it's all found in the Bible at that. Like, it's funny how these churches really do use the doctrine and how they believe things should be run, right? And you see it because there's over 2.5 billion Christians, and then there's over 45,000, 45K different denominations. And then you can imagine how even in those different denominations, people read the doctrine and feel and think differently. Like this Bible is divisive as fuck. But that's my little 1-2 on this. We've been here for a little over an hour. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you agree, disagree, but also always keep it respectful. I don't mind the dialogue as long as it is respectful. I do want to hear your thoughts on this. I do apologize for all the technical difficulties. I'm still getting used to Restream. I'm sorry that for the moments where I didn't realize I was on mute and you were left in silence. My apologies. But till next time, I'll see y'all. Oh, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you already haven't, leave a comment, let me know you were here. But also, I do have memberships going. I am reading the Bible from beginning, that's Genesis, all the way to the end, and really deconstructing and getting deep into the Word so that I can understand. I really want to. I really want to know, you know what I mean? Especially because it's something that I held so close to my heart for so long. And it's helping me also deconstruct the patriarchal, residue that I still have left on me from when I was a Christian. So if you're interested in anything like that, I'll be going live, was it tomorrow or later today? Tomorrow, I think tomorrow. I posted about it on my community tab. For the highest tier in the membership group, and we will be going live, and I'll be doing Genesis 24 through 28. We're going to continue from there, and I hope to see you there. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I gotta get these kids ready to go to camp for the afternoon, but yeah, I love y'all. I believe in you. You got this. Thank you so much for those of you who came through for this live today. And I will be also continuing my Sunday revivals. Just got a little bit sidetracked and distracted these last couple of weeks, but I am coming back, and I'll announce that tomorrow.